The cheap and best lens for Sony E-mount cameras. This is the Tamron 17-70mm f2.8 DI III-A VC RXD. I bought this Sony A6400 camera and along with it came this kit lens. EPZ 16-50mm f3.5 5.6 OSS lens. It had image stabilization. The shots were great, but it was not that much sharp. Since it was a kit lens, it had limitations. So as my photography skills improved, I decided to move on to an advanced lens. I searched the internet and various forums and did an all-round research. So after a bit of research, I have finally came up to Sigma 30mm 1.4 DCDN contemporary lens. Then I took the lens out for a shoot. I know that this was not the lens which I intended for, because the lens is intended for taking close-ups, photo, portraits and like that. It was not intended for wider shots. For every time I had to take the shot, I have to step 2-3 steps backwards. This I found pretty annoying. Then I started my research, and this time I found another great lens. This was the Tamron 17-70mm 2.8. So this is a great lens which you can use to shoot wider as well as portraits. The range varies from 17mm all the way to 70mm. So there are markings which will help you to adjust the focus range. This lens has got image stabilization, inbuilt image stabilization, and it is weatherproof. It is a bit heavy when compared to the kit lens. You cannot travel light with this lens, and it stands out in the crowd. But this can deliver clear and crisp and sharp images. This was not up to the mark of the Sony original G lenses, but does its job fairly well. So this is the main advantage I have chosen this one, so I can take better shots. But there are some limitations of this lens, so I would like to explain these as well before you go to make a final purchase or decision. The lens sometimes fails to pin to a particular autofocus point around the center when you are focusing a wider shot. So or a portrait, it won't focus on a particular thing which you want to focus. Okay, it will focus on other points, so you have to manually show the focus by pressing the focal point on the touch screen. Another point is regarding there are some crazy rings and light streaks appearing around bright sources like the sun or a bulb. So there is a problem of vignetting on the sides in some frames as well. So these are reported by other Tamron users, and you can see these problems mentioned in forums, in discussion forums as well. So the disadvantage is its weight and size. Okay, so when you're traveling for taking a street photography or some other areas, you need to have the case always with you, and you have to be very careful with the lens so that it won't slip from your hand. It has some weight, so sometimes you should use both of your hands to hold this steady, or you should have a tripod to stabilize this one. Even though it has image stabilization, sometimes there are when you're shooting videos and all, you need a tripod for this one due to its weight. Okay, and yes, this is a third-party lens, and it is pretty cheap compared to the Sony original ones. So until now, this lens is my primary workhorse, and I have not thought of replacing it, because the main thing is the price range. There is no other viable option in a similar price range, so that you can buy in this particular focus range. It is 17-70mm. This one, even though it is not autofocus, you have to manually adjust the focus. This lens delivers whatever you are focusing on. It delivers. It's a clean image. So for a limited budget photographers, enthusiast, and I would recommend this lens. It's a very good lens for medium to good photographers. So I will add some photo samples I took with this lens in the end of the video. The lens is already mounted on my camera, and I'm going to remove it. So this is the lens. This is a Tamron 17-70mm lens. As you can see, it's printed here, Tamron. It's a pretty solid lens. It's a heavy lens. It's a big lens. You can see the aperture is wide. It has got a solid construction. As you can see, it's designed in Japan, is mentioned. It's printed in the lens itself. If you open the cover, you can see the front aperture is too big for wider shots, 17mm shots, and this is the lens. So you can see the mm is printed 17, 24, 35, 50, 70 mm. These are printed on the lens itself, so that when you move the dial, it is easy for you to measure the distance. It has a solid weight. So when you attach the lens to the camera, it will add more weight to the camera. Actually, the camera has got a little less weight. My camera is Alpha 6400. It is a weightless one, but when you add the lens, it will add more weight to the setup itself. I have already added a cage for the camera to get more stabilization when I am holding the camera. Now you can see the dimensions of the camera. I have already attached the lens. You can see it is pretty big. It is pretty lengthy. If you see the length, see, it is of a bigger size, and you will get noticed when you are going for street photography or another photography with this lens and the camera, because this stands out in the crowd. So as you can see, the dimensions is pretty bigger and the body is very small. If you remove the cage, it will be very small, and the lens you have to hold it with one hand to balance the camera. As you can see, you can take shots with single-handedly, but still if you have enough practice, you can take shots like this, like single-handed. Otherwise you have to hold the lens with one hand and the camera with other to get a more stabilized picture. And here is the case. I have ordered one extra case for the camera and the lens, because the Sony default one did not hold. This Arctic Fox dive-in case. So it's pretty decent one. It's a very cheap, around 1000 rupees or something. But it has enough room you can put two lenses and the camera itself. So the Sony default one is very small. You can only put the lens and the kit lens and the camera. Now you can see I have put the kit lens along with the camera and the Tamron lens, so it will be comfortable. There is another small case for putting your cables, arranging your cables and everything inside the case. It's a decent build, you can see. Please post your comments or queries in the comment section, and if you like my video, please like and subscribe. Thank you, Chris.